was born in a very logical family. I'm very sort of right-brained, but no room in my family system to even express that. So I always thought I was the supremely rational, logical person. What I've discovered later in life is that I'm highly intuitive and sensitive, but I've learned how to very quickly put those intuitions into a logical framework so that I can express them. I think at the end of the day, you know, existence is way bigger than the constructs that we try to, you know, squeeze it into. It's sort of life in a phone booth, right? It doesn't make sense, but there's so much more that we don't know. In a lot of ways, I think God explaining much of reality to us is, well, at least like a nuclear scientist trying to explain nuclear fission to their 2-year-old. I mean, there's just much we can't understand. You know?
So what happens in this law of love that if it is an aroma, that people start walking into the places where you're at that have a lot of kind of stuff that's going on in their life? What's the church's, the peoples of God's response to that? I mean, knowing that we got some cruddy stuff in our own lives, but you know, folks walk in with a lot of baggage that a lot of times the church says, well, we can deal with that then. I mean, how's the church?
Well, this is a huge challenge, because we fall into this trap of believing that we have to keep people outside the camp until they become holy. I think, you know, as a pastor for quite a number of years now, I've come to the conclusion, and I included, I've come to the conclusion that we love Pharisees. We love people who do the right things for the wrong reasons. We just want to do some people to do the right things, you know. And so we look at people that come from the outside, maybe from really broken backgrounds, and they really embarrass us because they wear their sin so openly. And it just reminds us of all our sin that we're keeping under wraps. It's very uncomfortable for us. We'd rather keep them outside because it's a horrible reminder. But you know, we've got so many things turned upside down, and I think the things that offend Jesus don't offend us at all, and the things that offend us probably wouldn't have offended him too much. Just thinking of a time, and I don't know how with the distribution of this, so I'll be careful in how I express it, but I remember there was this one guy that became part of our community, and he came from a very broken life on the street, and at one point we were praying for him, and I in retrospect, I would have to say, in that moment of praying for him, that actually the Holy Spirit entered into him. Later on, I guess he realized that he'd come to faith. Something had happened. We don't always know the order of how these things take place, but his immediate response was he just broke into tears, and he started weeping and just shaking. We were saying, "What's going on? What's going on?" He said, "I don't know. I'm just so effing happy." You know? Well, for so many people in the church, that would deeply offend them. And yet, I think that was more music to God's ears than most of our worship sets. You see, this is somehow, we've got to begin to see how God sees in these things, you know?